Hello again. I hope you've all had a great weekend and you're now refreshed and ready to receive the gifts that this week has to offer. I'm reading from Tarot of Inspiration. I'm really in love with the artwork in this deck at the moment, so I'm happy to be able to share some of these beautiful cards with you all. Hopefully you managed to make it through Friday the 13th unscathed. I feel that last week really was a week of passion and love and intimacy. And coming back into this week, that vibrancy seems to have dulled and is now setting again. I feel that we're now moving through another period of introspection and an emotional cleaning house, so to speak. So looking at the cards for the week ahead, we have the Eight of Wands, or Swiftness as it's also known. Next we have the World, which is the last card of the Major Arcana. And we have the Nine of Swords. This artwork is appropriately named The Nightmare. I think this piece was actually produced well over 200 years ago now. With the Eight of Wands here, we're really looking at a force or a streamlining process. The angel on the horse there is soaring through the clouds with power and what looks like great speed. If you look at the leg positioning of the angel, you can see that they're in the cross position. And we see this message throughout art. It usually signifies the material world or matter. The message here is that we really have to be aware of anything new we start this week in the world, because whatever is set in motion will likely gain momentum very fast, just like the Pegasus, and it will not stop until it reaches its desired outcome. Obviously this outcome can be good, or it can be bad. It's all really dependent on what you're setting out with in the beginning, so there is a little word of warning there. If you're looking to start something new, then make sure you have all the fundamentals in check. If you're on a sure thing and you know there's likely for some success, then this card can really propel you towards that with rapid momentum. Rapid communication is also implied here with the 8, so business and personal matters have the potential to be resolved quickly and often in satisfactory ways, because this really is a divine display being presented. This card also talks about romance, it talks about love at first sight, and if this is you, then you're literally going to feel like you've been swept off your feet and into the clouds, where you'll be supported and uplifted. If you've been waiting for a message to arrive, then you can likely expect it this week. As we said, the 8 really is about rapid communication and streamlining. It's sort of like no messages can stay in limbo anymore. They really need to get to their destination. So if you do start something new this week and you're confident in a positive outcome and you've done your homework, then prepare to hold on tight to those reins, because you're really going to be in for an amazing ride. Next we have the World, number 21 in the Major Arcana, and the final stop for the Fool on his journey through the Tarot. This stage really sums up and integrates the entire Tarot into a stage of completion. This is always about the voyage and everything that can be learned along the way. So all knowledge is now available for integration, for synthesis. The 3 archangels on the card are holding the spheres of nature and animal and man. In a sense, they're sort of exhibiting the evolutionary trail of life right up to where we are today as humans. We see that these spheres, as grand as they can appear and as real as they feel when one is living through this 3D experience, are not actually the final stage. It is written that we too are to become like caretakers, just like the angels or the Fool in the Tarot, and these spheres that have contained our spirit for so long have really been for our teaching, so that we can become like them and have the capacity to oversee the lower spheres of life and nature and the animals and man. This card speaks about new beginnings, it speaks about endings. You may feel like you've learnt everything you can from this phase of life and you're now ready for something new, or you want to aid others with what you've learned. It's like you now stand on the precipice of a new frontier and anything's now possible. This card could also mean a victory or graduation, and following the theme of the world, it's like you've graduated into the school of life. Finally, we have the Nine of Swords, and this speaks about depression and anxiety. It's also about sleepless nights, it's about worry, and it can sometimes signify illness as well. We do know, though, that if you're in a state of stress or disease, or you're not happy, then this will leave your body vulnerable to sicknesses and depression. So if you chose this card today, you may be feeling worried, or you're holding on to some fear because of something in your life that's causing you distress, or is generally out of your control. You may have had trouble sleeping because of all the thoughts racing through your mind at night, and you feel uncomfortable, and you probably can't get settled into a peaceful rest. The Nine of Swords is indicating that there are some issues that need bringing out into the light of day and working on. So if you do have any fears, it would really benefit you to write them down and look to integrate them or dispel them based on their validity. Because whatever we don't deal with in the day that causes us distress will only look to understand itself through our dreams and through the emotional body. So you could write a journal, and in the future, try not to set any points in time in your life that you know for a fact are going to cause you worry or stress later on. If you are worried about your health, then start exercising and start eating better. There's really only you that can remedy this feeling state. And it's not always going to be the easy though, granted. There are going to be some situations that have already gained momentum that you feel are completely out of your control, that you're not going to be able to do anything about. But you will find peace by confronting and dealing with things as they arise. Even if you can't fix the problem in its entirety, you can still make positive efforts in that direction. And you can also change the way you're viewing the situation. This is all in your power. This card is the Nightmare. We can see the Night Horse on the left and the succubus on the chest of the sleeping woman. So bad dreams are usually common with this card. But your dreams are really just trying to make sense of what you're ignoring. They're trying to give you messages encoded in metaphors for you to unravel when you wake up to help you in whatever situation you're finding yourself in. So I really do recommend for everyone to start a dream journal. First thing when you wake up in the morning is really the only time to get down what you've seen while you were asleep, because if you leave it any longer, the chances of remembering every detail will be very slim. Doing this over time will build up a stronger connection to the subconscious, and you will be more alert and aware in your dreams. You'll be dreaming, but you'll know you'll be dreaming, and you'll have more control. You may even have an adventure. This really is an invaluable tool for your personal development and exploration, and I highly recommend anyone to take up this path of enlightenment and to reconnect with their inner tutor or intuition. Now, if I was to look at this as a general reading, it'd be clear that you're now in an established place. You have an abundance of experience, and you've got a lot of life lessons in your corner. This is stated in the World card. So this has set up the fertile ground for the swiftness to take hold. It's like you'll be able to manifest at an exponential rate. So you need to be careful. Anything you put into action from this place of power at number 21 has the potential to manifest swiftly in either good or bad circumstances. I would say that with the 9 at the end, there is a block that needs addressing before any intentions or new ventures are established. We could say that the Pegasus in the original card, the 7 of Wands, has the potential to become the Nightmare Horse of the 9 of Swords, if those fears aren't dealt with in the light of day. It's as if darkness is receptive to our will as much as light, and thus we need a firm foundation and a real integrity in our being if we're to start to manifest some of those potentials of the World card, because it states we have the ability to share our experiences to help others, so integrity is crucial. So we really need to set a clear path ahead for the stallion to ride, it seems, because this process, just like the Chariot card, requires emotional stability and a taming of the ego, no matter how strong our potential is for good. Thanks everyone, I will be with you again for your weekend reading. Do have fun this week, won't you, and don't be afraid of the dark, for like the seed, it must be cast into darkness before it can begin its steady ascent into the mighty tree.